start video. Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the Vancouver Writers Fest. My name is Leslie Hertig, and I'm the artistic director here. Welcome to Word, hosted by the marvelously wonderful Jillian Christmas. The Vancouver Writers Fest carries out its work and this event here today on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. We are very grateful to be here. We would like to thank our government sponsors today that help this festival come to fruition. CMHC Granville Island, the Department of Canadian Heritage, the Canada Council for the Arts, the Government of BC, the BC Arts Council, and the City of Vancouver. We couldn't do this without your support. Jillian Christmas is a great friend to the Vancouver Writers Fest. She is our spoken word curator, and she's the author of the newly released and gorgeous book of poetry that I'm holding in my hands right here, The Gospel of Breaking. I highly recommend go to your favorite independent bookseller and you will find it there. Pick it up, enjoy it, hold it dear. She has performed and facilitated spoken word workshops with youths and adults across this country and far beyond that. We are so grateful to have her collaboration with this event here today. I'm going to turn it over to Jillian Christmas. Welcome, Jillian.
Hi, Leslie. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for this beautiful event. I'm really excited to take over as host. And as my first duty as host, I just want to give a big warm thank you to everybody at the Vancouver Writers Fest who is working so hard to bring us all of this beautiful content, these wonderful artists across all of this distance that we're experiencing right now. My name is Jillian Christmas, and I'm your host for this event. And it is my absolute pleasure to have curated this event again, and especially in this moment where there is this maybe perceived distance that we have. It's very interesting because, you know, having curated this event for several years, I've never had the opportunity to book artists who were at a great distance to us. And right now we have this very unique opportunity. So it's really a pleasure to be able to bring you these phenomenal artists who are so dear to me: Lishai Peel, Truth Is, Ellipsis, and Nasra Adam. And I think they will probably unmute their video for a moment and give us a little wave to say hello. Wonderful. We have Nasra, we have Truth Is, we have Lishai Peel, we have some sweet babes. There's Casper in the background. We might even see another sweet, lovely babe in the background there too. Thank you all for being here with us. It is a dream. I honestly, I don't want to speak too long, but I just have to illustrate for our audience, who I think there's almost 1,000 of you out there. We can't see you. We can feel your energy. And I've done enough of these Zoom shows to tell you that even though we can't hear you, I promise you, if you applaud wildly from your living room or your room or wherever you are, we will be able to feel that energy, and it is going to fuel us through the show. So keep your energy up. We're going to keep our energy up and send it to you as well. And now it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to these wonderful artists. But before I do that, I just want to let you know that I am also coming to you from the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish people. And we're going to learn a little bit about each of our wonderful artists and what they have been up to and what they want to bring to us today. So with that, I will say a little farewell for just a moment to Truth and to Nasra as I introduce our first incredible artist, this wonderful human. Her name is Lishai Peel, and we have Casper in the background as well. Hi, Casper. Do you want to give us a wave? Hey, Casper. Lishai is so dear to so many people in the spoken word community across this country and beyond. Lishai is a writer, an educator, currently based in Hamilton, Ontario. For the last decade, she has designed and facilitated theater and writing workshops in schools throughout Toronto, working extensively with the Toronto Public Library and the Toronto Public School Board. Her creative nonfiction won first place in the Malahat Review's 2019 Open Season Awards, and her poetry came second place in the Vancouver Writers Fest, you know it well, annual contest in 2017. Her work has also been shortlisted for the Puritan Poetry Prize and Room Magazine's Creative Nonfiction and Short Form Contest. But more than that, far and beyond that, Lishai is the most phenomenal friend you will ever meet. And her dance moves are just simply beyond compare. So, a wonderful human to know. And I'm so happy to introduce you to Lishai Peel.
Hi, everyone. Do you want to say hi, honey? Hi. Casper wanted to join us today. He has a couple of words just before we start sharing. What do you want to tell the people?
Welcome to the world.
Oh, welcome to the world. Anything else? Let's tell them where we are. What city are we in?
We're in Canada.
Yeah, and whereabouts in Canada?
Hamilton.
Hamilton. So let's tell them about Hamilton. Hamilton is situated on the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, and one second, and the Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and the Mississaugas. The land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon, One Pot Belt Covenant, which was an agreement between the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe to share and care for the resources of the Great Lake. And today, the city of Hamilton is home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we recognize that we must do more to learn about the rich history of the land so that we can better understand our roles as residents, neighbors, partners, and caretakers. Would you like to add to that?
Yeah, and we live right by some, and we live right by trains.
That's obviously extremely important. We live by the train tracks. So I'm going to share a poem, and Casper's going to collaborate with me.
And can I tell you something? Trains go on that train track, always.
Yes, lots of trains, that's true. So I'm going to share a poem. Do you have your howl ready? And I encourage you all from your classrooms, from your homes, wherever you are, if you feel like howling at the end of the poem, to feel free to do so. My grandmother once told me that there's a werewolf locked in my spine, and I'm finally starting to believe it. We've been groomed to say yes, even when our bodies speak a different language. We've been taught to speak in shadows, but I'm no longer whispering. Girl, woman, wolf, little did I know that I've been sharpening my teeth all these years. They say a woman who is unafraid is a dangerous thing to behold. Grandmother says there is a thin line between fearlessness and recklessness. Words that have been stuck in my trachea are finally taking flight. My jawline tight from swallowing too many yeses has finally found its bite. Speak it into existence, will it into motion. Speak it into existence, will it into motion. And in the moment when your mood is full, howl until you're home in your skin again. And you want to blow a kiss to the people? Because we have to go to swimming class. So I'll see you later, my love. Okay. Bye. Thank you. See you soon. That was a special collaboration courtesy of Casper. And I just want to say quickly that I'm really honored to be here and to share this space with such phenomenal artists that I admire so much, with dear friends and loved ones, and with all of you all who are tuning in. And I want to say, spaces like this is so important and so encouraging, because this has been a wild year for a lot of us. And, a lot of us in the arts and culture sector are facing job precarity and instability in other areas. And I think that, having spaces like this where we bear witness to each other's stories, each other's poetry, each other's art is so life-affirming and necessary and beautiful in the face of a world that is, quite broken. We're saying that we're here and that we are holding each other with our words and building community, even if it's through a screen. So thank you so much for being here, for holding all of our words. I want to know how to stop a life from spilling over, how to carry your sex without becoming undone. Hunger grows teeth in the unmarked hours, jagged nights that steal warmth from lonely mouths. I want to know how to watch hours stolen, to inhale a secret and then forget it. We all live on a currency of forgetfulness and calloused foresight. To inhale the force of life, creative destruction. Devour Kalika, the tides are turning. Wake up before the flames lick your feet. We were wild once, we'll be wild again. Women who hike up long skirts to dance in the harvest. Women who talk to ghosts because their men were unreliable. Women who hide in the crook of a story. We come from this offering, folklore and forgetfulness. A chorus of children breaking codes, cracking open this life. Maybe their mothers a wild sea and haunted land. Their breastbones a ship's mast. See how they spill open, cast aside, swim without gills. A chain reaction. We raise our young to spool around myths and legends. Every mystery has its price. I want to know what knowing costs. All the words that pool around me, all the women that gasp and kick and fight but never sink. The terror of spilling is not having any edges. I'm gonna dive right into the next poem, which started off as a play and then it ended up being an essay, and now it's sort of like a hybrid between like a poem and nonfiction. I'm not really even too sure what it is, but I'm happy to share it with you all. Question 1, how Canadian are you? If you are born here, you may advance to the next question. If you are not born here, return to question 1. Question 1, how Canadian are you? Is English your first language? If not, return to question 1. Question 1, how Canadian are you? At the citizenship ceremony, did you pledge allegiance to the crown? If so, continue to the next question. If not, return to question 1. Question 2, did you call this country Canada or Turtle Island? If Canada, proceed to the question 3. If Turtle Island, go back to question 1. Question 3, were you lying about question 2? If yes, return to question 1. If no, proceed to question 4. Question 4, have you been to a cottage in Muskoka? Have you camped in Algonquin? Have you gotten inebriated on Wasaga Beach as the stars fell on you and the tide kissed your feet? Have you walked Bay Street questioning why the hell you became a writer? Did you name your firstborn Riley or Tyler or Scott? Did you take a shot of maple syrup on July 1st? Did you wink at a Mountie? Did you deny this country's genocide? Did you hold French in your mouth like a sweet summer plum only to spit it out when no one was watching? If yes to all of the above, proceed to question 5. If no to any of the above, return to question 1. Question 1, how Canadian are you? Canadian like honey skin drenched in sari, jasmine and gold in my blood. Aunties wearing Canada Goose jackets over churida slipper-adorned feet, long hair greased slick with coconut oil, spinning silk from stories of the old country, mouths emptying songs to the east. Canadian like Passover nights breaking bread, recounting plagues. Elijah's breath upon my neck, 4 glasses, 4 questions, 1 people, my people. We say next year in Jerusalem, an ache like a prayer, to be here under a dazzle of new spring 2,000 years in the making. Canadian like a dream of running deep purple underfoot at the mouth of Ilkley, a fountain of heather. Here my childhood unfolding in folklore and season, in blood and wild bloom, bell-shaped flowers that bend their necks only to the tepid English sun. The Yorkshire moors and the dales insistent on my body, a claimant of memory. Here we harvested the lavender to pulp, a gift to our mother from our father's country. A yearning land, colony of purple, waiting. Canadian like, where are you from? Like, is that your child? But he has blue eyes, the legacy of geography. My son more of this land than the weight of my 16 years here. Only as Canadian as my words lifted in promise, gathering pieces of myself as though plucking flowers in offering. Is this enough? Is this enough Canadian? I too have drank from the nectar of Toronto's collarbone. I've laid my youth down by the foothills of the Rockies, died and come back to life in the shadow of the Three Sisters. I've swam unbridled in the Straits of Georgia, watched the eagle swoop low, felt the current claim me as family claims kin. I've lived on the jagged edge of the Atlantic, still as marble while it carved a blue arc into memory. There are ways of being here while being invisible, but my words have made a promise, and a promise must outlive one's words. Where are you from? I'm Canadian, but I'm also from colonized land and lost language. I'm from a boat that shipwrecked 2,000 years ago off the Konkan coast. I'm from an archaeology of oral tradition, a descendant of the 10 lost tribes. I'm from the proud north of my father's country where freedom was a type of starvation. Call me new here, call me one day, call me welcome, don't call me by my passport, call me by my people. I'm from all the words that went unspoken. This promise, This child who will know every flower that sprouts from my blood by name, call me by my name. I'm from the people whose names are one syllable too many, family who left and never returned. I'm from all their arrivals, bloated as they are with the past. There are reasons people leave their homelands that remain unnamed. I'm from the shadow of those reasons. I'm also from so many new beginnings that if you hold the story up to the light, you'll see a reflection of your own story. Okay. I want to share a little ode to Jillian Christmas because everyone who knows Jillian knows how magic she is. And she's, you know, probably in terms of the magic spectrum, she's probably sort of off the charts. You know, just as a curator, as a poet, as a community organizer, as a friend, as a host. We're also grateful to just be in your presence, Jillian. So this one's for you. You amethyst dusk, you dahlia by night, you sharpened tongue, you midnight piano, you unaccustomed surrender, you haloed horizon, you dancing fire, you drunken warmth, a heart that travels. In this splintering tomorrow, you always, you always, you always. So this will be my last poem. And I wrote it a little while ago. I read it once and then I haven't picked it up again. So it's still a little fresh. This has been a year of deep reflection for all of us. And I just want to leave you with some warmth and hopefully you guys continue to take in poetry and good words and write your own words and keep well and take care of each other. 2020. In the year when everything changed, you learned the art of disappearing, a gradual undoing, standing on the cliff of your own insignificance in the world reeling from the shock of its own fallibility. We are so small. History has an appetite that is so big. We know we will one day be devoured by it. Historians will write about what we are currently living through, and we wonder what kind of edits will be made and how future generations will understand what it's like to wake up with an uncertainty that is so jarring. This visceral truth that we knew all along but ignored all along, that nothing is promised. And yet we live because life demands continuity and stories and music. Life is always demanding, even through uncertainty, that we live deeply. That every trillium, every firefly, every trembling aspen on the Bruce Trail be admired. That every smile your son offers you be received. That every call from a friend be answered. Joan Didion writes that we tell ourselves stories in order to live. This moment is a story we will live one day to tell our children. In the year when everything changed, you write your name on a piece of paper, fold it neatly in a handkerchief, leave it on a park bench, hope you will be remembered. Hope someone will read your name. A name, after all, is a gesture, an invitation to acknowledge someone's shared humanity. It is an ask. Please remember me. Please see me. You call Rogers to get a new phone and languish in the sales rep calling you by your name. Life can do this to you during a pandemic, turn you into a version of yourself that is most longing for human connection. There's a lot of lonely in this world, a lot of aching to be seen. Thankfully, there's also a lot of sales reps at Rogers. You write letters to friends on your typewriter, you send heart emojis to people on Instagram like some sort of emoji maniac. I still do that, by the way. You begin to tell yourself social isolation is good for you. Maybe now you can finally focus on your book. That didn't happen. But every day becomes a loop and you cannot end it. Every day becomes a loop and you cannot end it. Every day becomes a loop and you cannot end it. The first time you are hugged by a friend after restrictions are lifted, you cannot believe the sheer, unadulterated joy and miracle of human touch. We are saved every time we are held by one another. So let's never stop holding one another. In the year when everything changed, the police did not. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Barry Shantz, DeAndre Campbell, Aisha Hudson, Jason Collins, Kevin Stewart Andrews, Patrick Everett, Abraham Netanyahu, Chantal Moore, Rodney Levy, Ahmed Ejaz Chowdhury, Jason Peterson, Jacob Lake. Take their names out of the mouths of the lawmakers, the police chiefs, the RCMP, the politicians who are not pushing hard enough for police reform, and give their names to the people. Let their names be scorched on our lips and live in our cultural psyche. Their names are a reminder that being Indigenous in Manitoba, where 2 Indigenous people were killed by police within 2 hours of each other earlier this year, or mentally unwell in Toronto, or Black in any state or province could cost you your life at the hands of those who are ill-equipped to recognize how racism continues to dictate who lives and who dies in 2020. In the year when everything changed, you tell your son the truth. The police are here to protect, but they do not protect us all. This is the year when marching in the streets was not enough. Buildings on fire and tearing down monuments was not enough. NBA players refusing to play was not enough. The year when we realized that it will never be enough until concrete policy is put into legislation, until the current systems of policing are defunded, until Black Lives Matter, not just to Black people, but to all people. It will never be enough. This is the year when things are possible in ways that are tangible, powerful. In the year when everything changed, Trump was voted out of office. Kamala Harris became the first woman of color to be vice president of the United States. Police reform became a reality, not just a pipe dream. Power shifted. People rose up and kept rising, and there was no going back. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Lishai, for all of that. It is an honor to know you, and thank you also for giving me a moment to recover after that dedicated poem. You are an angel. I know everybody's cheering wildly from their homes and classrooms, and I hope we get to see you again soon, and Casper too. Okay, with that, I'm going to introduce us to our next performer. We'll all take a deep breath together, just to remember we are together. And please allow me to introduce you to our next performer. Truth is Ellipsis. Truth is a poet, writer, a motivational speaker, an artist, an arts educator, in addition to slam and a long list of feature performances across Canada and the US. Truth is has headlined in several conferences focused on social equity, gender equity, youth motivation, and labor. She has also opened up for Canadian hip-hop idol Chaos and legendary activist Angela Davis. No big deal. Truth is, it has had an incredible impact on my life. She is the kind of friend who will hoist you on her shoulders and like walk you through the end times. And I will just say that I met Truth is when I was just a very baby poet, and Truth was already like shining on the stage. I was starstruck just watching her perform. And I think she's one of the big reasons that I do what I do. And I just have always thought of Truth as a reminder that there are beautiful things to come. So welcome to the stage, my friend and beloved poet, Truth is Ellipsis.
Hey, you didn't, Jilly, you've been trying to have me all crying before I start my set, and I haven't even gotten to any poetry. Thank you for that beautiful introduction there. Before I roll into the poetry, I'm going to just take a moment to acknowledge where I'm at. I am here in what is known to some folks as Guelph, Ontario. And folks who live here are residing on the ancestral lands of the Adirondack people, and it is the treaty land and territory of the Mississauga of the Credits. So nothing can or should happen without acknowledging where we are, and that is just the bare minimum, because without actually putting those words into action, that acknowledgement into action, it rings a bit hollow. So it is a everyday kind of opportunity one should take. One good thing about music, when it hits, you feel no pain. What you do feel is the way its texture can change your mood, like the right song at the wrong time, or the wrong song at the wrong time, or the wrong song at the right time, or that right song at the right time. I remember tearing up the linoleum with my pops. He, not too fresh from the islands, me from second generation Motown, my feet on his hips, wagging like disgruntled windshield wipers, love lingering in the bass line of every song I was lucky enough to learn to listen to. Our kitchen was the original dance hall. 2 days after Bob Marley was shot, he found himself back on stage, his version of My Kitchen Floor, to say, in his world, the bad guys don't take days off, so how could he? And what I took from hearing that was, how could I? And some things never fade, you just sometimes end up pressing pause to catch up. There's something about music. I can't breathe without learning life's lyrics. The way freedom flows from being a noun to a verb, the way it makes everything an experience before it even has a name. Fast forward to the early 90s. I wonder if I am too old to dance on my father's feet anymore. I'm all gangster rap and alternative tunes like, so I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream at the top of my lungs, what's going on? Me jamming while wailing to the Wailers was fun, but when the music stopped, I knew there should always be rhythm and poetry. Something illmatic while shouting, the police! It was me against the world. Carefree, no frets. I was a minor. Singing, not just dancing around songs that had the power to move you. One, you knew there were also movements to move through, beats you might have to bang to, when everything felt so much bigger than I remember my pop's feet being. So like a record with your favorite memory, I always replay Bob and Marvin and Nina, a prince formerly known amongst mere men, and John, and Miss Everything is everything to get the job done. So tell me, what are you listening to? Tell me what music has the power to make your heartbeat skip tonight. Can we dance till the sun cuts loose like me and my pops used to? It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. And tomorrow we make moves. Yay. All right. I don't generally whenever I do poetry, I'll have some kind of vibes that, seem a little heavier. So I was just like, hey, let me still be focused on things that we need to acknowledge, but also, kind of celebrate a little bit of that work that needs to be done. So there's a combo there. So reminiscent music makes me feel good to do the work that needs to be done. So, quote, well, ever since dating you, I definitely talk more white. End quote. As though the way I strung my sentences together was imprisoning her. That was the time I lost my voice. And such a moment cannot be followed by an initial flurry of infuriated words, but the silence of a gaping mouth filled with a collection of pauses overdue. I seized. My squinting eyes gravitated towards all the possible responses. My nostrils became ring enough to propose to parts of the heavens. My fingers crumpled into earthly ideas not deemed worthy for anywhere else but wastebaskets. I bit my lip. I held my tongue. There was a moment before I could swallow. And in the moment after, my chest just deflated. I let my back melt into the linoleum, arms blocking light and hiding tears, my paper palms smoothed out, and the writing was on our newly erected wall. I guess what my body was trying to ask was, what does that even mean? Exactly. I wanted to tell her, quote, use your words, then tell me it's just a coincidence that I'll be able to understand, end quote, scheming on ignorance. I was tactfully curious. We could no longer speak well to each other after that. She could find no commitment in my eyes. I found no trust in her tone. Every word rolling out of her mouth was a gifted Trojan horse destroying me from the inside. Then finally, when our backs turned too far to return to sender, we took to separate edges in each other's minds. There are ways we talk to each other that don't involve words. And it's not always a matter of convenience, it's a necessity of involvement. When her and I would speak, argue, I'd say, I only speak English, when in fact I should have said, we only speak survival. Each syllable learned is a history lesson on what spines can endure when they never wanted you to stand for something while speaking. English is death and rape and the erasure of cultures. It sounds like roots being ripped from your tongue because it is, with its tear gas words, with its nightstick words. It just also sounds like poetry. Every time we lose our voice, we will find it hiding under disappointment and expectations. So no, I don't talk white. I just talk however I talk whenever it's important that I speak. Thank you. Normally, like, I would have the audience like all cheering and clapping. I want them to like unmute everyone so like I can get that vibe. And it would hold me, it would make me feel so safe. And that poem was about one of my first relationships after coming out. And that process was not as joyful as living out has been for me. So I'm gonna kind of just read a little excerpt from this poem that I wrote when I was able to collaborate with fellow poet Salim on a national team. We were having kind of parallel experiences. Are coming out. For him, it was coming out and being able to admit publicly that he is Muslim, and then like for me, I was coming out as queer, and then we were able to meet on the page. When shame was the most confusing word in the basement of my guts, I climbed the steps to come out and stayed away from the skeletons that knew my marrow intimately. When I was 11, I questioned my identity. I was on a path I didn't know was my destiny. I struggled to fit in different outcomes. I wasn't ready to come out. My mother said my daughter cannot be gay. In a threatening tone in octaves higher than disappointment, she saw that I had the capacity to love different than her expectations, and it scared her. I grew up far less terrified of violence that could be inflicted than my ability to love. I wonder if she figured it would hurt less if the blows had a mother's touch. She told me she would have me killed for it. Told me that she would burn the pants I preferred like crosses because I didn't sit limb crossed. All I knew is I put them on one leg at a time, just like I was supposed to, so why was it so wrong to feel comfortable in the jeans she had given me? So I lost my gold star, and I tried to see the consolation in friendships in a sea of impossibilities, choosing the sex of my future partners over my happiness. I just knew when I was younger, I didn't know that I was gay. I just knew I didn't want to be. Flash forward, I'm approaching my age of confidence in the idea that I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not. Then when I was 20, after years of searching for explanation as to why my way of life was so different than it should be, I realized just because I wasn't ready for them to be right then doesn't mean I can't see and be the best me now. So for all of you out there, throughout the spectrum of age, like it's never too late to own your voice and your story. And thank you for taking that trip with me. I got maybe one or so poems, so I'm just gonna kind of go into it real quick. No. Such a small word some will go to great lengths to avoid. When I think about consent, I draw on tea, a steaming pot, steeping, black, laced with oil of bergamot, no milk, no sugar. At times, to drink it is a ritual to greet the day, to nod at the past, pass through its dark waters despite its darker days in history, sipping from a pot also seasoned with drop-bys and all-in, all-nighters. I know a pot seasoned with history that wasn't mine to dissolve. And once I messed up, man. I made a mistake of washing it. I polished it with soap. I soaked it with vinegar. I let it eat away at memories preserved. I did not ask, thought I was doing something sweet that needed the element of surprise and no permission, but really, wasn't it? I just wanted to exert my control over the pot, how it looked, and use the power I had to do something about it. I think about consent. I think about why consent for some things like this Earl Grey seasoned silver pot are considered so trivial when the concept is quite simple and its impact can be just as devastating. We've all grown up in this culture of boys will be boys, or as an excuse or to excuse. So now my kid has been taught a game by someone who knows to season their pot continuously, who's learned to navigate the agency of a body. He has been taught to put his hands up for tickles, no elevation, no tickles, no milk, no sugar. So sweet to hear his hearty instinctual joy. His laughter has literally brought me to tears of bliss to know he has asked for this and he is getting exactly what he deserves. But a dark cloud still looms over these happy moments because every time my Black boy is told to put his hands up, it's cute too. But 2 decades down the road, bullets still won't tickle. He might be minding his own business, hopefully smiling, but hearing hands up will not be an invitation to laugh. They might be looking to get the last one. And I want to say, I won't be thinking about tea then, but growing a human grows you. You see the root network of circumstances below the surface you didn't even know were there just yet. What you develop and share are connected to stories that nurture everything about their being. The bonds they'll build, the friends they'll keep, and the risks that exist even with best intentions. So when I think about the things he needs to know intentionally, like no matter how harrowing no might feel, ask first, what now and why, or how many ways there are to learn or teach about any one thing, whether it be how to navigate a body or how to season a teapot. I wonder what this world has already taught him without me knowing, because everything is connected, whether I acknowledge it or not. Thank you.
Truth is, my goodness. It is always an honor to be in your presence, to be in your life. Thank you for all of the things that you have taught me personally and that you've taught us all today. Oh God, I could go on forever. Thank you. We hope to see you again
I love you.
so soon. I love you. Okay, thank you, Truth. With that, we're going to move into our final performer, and I'm going to introduce them in just one moment. I want to let you know, I remind you all in our beautiful audience that we're going to try and take a couple moments at the very end for questions. So if you have some questions you're dreaming up, save those. You're going to drop them in the chat for us, and we will hopefully get one or two in at the very end. Our next performer is Nasra Adam, and Nasra is a queer Muslim Oromo curator, creator living in Edmonton on Treaty 6 territory. They were the Youth Poet Laureate of Edmonton from 2016 to 2017 and are currently the director of Sister to Sister, an artistic showcase for and by femmes and women of color. They are also the festival director of Black Arts Matter, Alberta's interdisciplinary Black Arts Festival, and were the 2017 recipient of the Mayor's Emerging Arts Award. Nasra is also a phenomenal friend, someone who would maybe possibly memorize your birth chart and know your stars and know your sign and tell you about yourself. Nasra has so much wisdom inside of them. I have been led by their star many times, and it's an honor to call them a friend. And Nasra is the kind of homie who will always be in your corner, always cheering for you. I hope you have friends like Nasra Adam. Please welcome them to the stage now. Please join us, Nasra.
What a welcome, Jilly Jills. Thank you so much, Miss Jillian Christmas. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Lishai and Truth. I was turning up back here. I hope y'all saw my little emojis because y'all are such a gift. So thank you for moving through this world as you do. I'm currently on Lenape Lenape territory. I'm in New York City. I'm in Brooklyn and have been for a little while. And I am also cradled by, like was said, Treaty 6 territory, Amiskwaciyoskaigan, and also known as Edmonton, Nehiyaw territory, Métis territory, Blackfoot territory, Saulteaux territory, Nakota Sioux territory, and many, many more Indigenous peoples. Their stories hold me. I'm Indigenous myself from Oromia, Africa, and I am forever, forever in sweat, love, and rage with all Indigenous people everywhere. Thank you for keeping us alive. I'm just getting into it because let's do it. I am a new brand of shiny. The sun looks up and catches my glint, wonders how I got so high, how slick I was in passing him, wonders how I haven't burnt all the way up already. As if I haven't, as if it wasn't the first scorch that birthed all this. As if the answer to the question, how much water can a Black person even hold, isn't swimming in the hollows of my cheeks. As if I wasn't born an already cosmic conundrum. As if the stars aren't strung up by a sky of kinky coil. I detangle myself. Fingernails, the pick of the century. Blood, an all-penetrating oil. I am a new brand of breath, a wind that nips at your ankles and sings and moves a field of dandelions into wish and dream. If there is any question as to who I am, let the answer fall from the sky or be the sky itself. Oh my God, I hear you. Oh my God, wow, thank you so much. Right, true. This is weird, but I love it. I wrote that on a trip with the Jillian Christmas, laid out in under the Texas sun. So I know I had to bring that one back, um, and I'm actually really excited to share this next piece with y'all, because if the mercurial guides love me, if the technology gods care about my life, they do. We will get into it. This next piece is a collaboration with a Vancouver favorite, Sally Zori, on piano. This is called All I Ever Wanted. All I ever wanted was true. And all I ever got was excuse after excuse. Body like a valley they run through. Who am I without a cause? Who am I to you? I am a reverse engineer, unraveling the mound of matter. I am the geometry of martyrs, repetition and mango overripe. You can smell me through my skin. I am ready to peel away bare orange flesh, press thumb into fruit body, leave a crescent indent as flag. I was here before anyone else. Except the heat. I watched the sweet flies birth a colony from my death of deaths. I am born 100 wings in the unmaking. Carry me to my next home, but not before I name this one. All I ever wanted was true. And all I ever got was excuse after excuse. Black body like a valley they run through. Oh, who am I without a cause? Who am I to you? I want to name every shape I've taken. Seed, sprout, rotting core. I want to be angry and loved. I want to be learning and left alone. I want to be black and human. All my parts are alive. Horizoning my bedroom floor. I kiss the fears, greening with mold. With new life, I caress the unrequited love letters. Press them like flowers into my skin before I burn and dance naked and holy in the smoke. This time has been really crazy for a lot of us. So many things that are different, so many things changing all at the same time. Like y'all have said, the intersections of it all, truth, the uncertainty, Lishai. And for me, it's just the relationships we have with ourselves is the one thing we have at our core that will always be there. And that piece, thank you, Sally, really helped me move through some of the icky, confusing jumble that our emotions can get into, our dreams can get into, our fears can get into. So I really hope everybody, no matter what age you is, are finding time to just talk to yourself. That's all I ever wanted, you know what I'm saying? All right, I'm gonna do one more quick one and call it a day. This goes out to all Indigenous people of Turtle Island. Some mornings I do not check Instagram, do not frequent the hollow skulls of tiny men, or almost fall into some pool of red gone stale. Do not entertain the hungering opinions on some ancient lie that doesn't need me to survive anymore anyways. Some mornings I think about the land and her people instead. I quiet the colonial hum around me and give thanks she kept the doors open. Give thanks for her whispering comforts in my mother's language long enough to settle her into a new, more comfortable amnesia. Some mornings I agree to practice the anthem with my new family. Mold their mouths Canadian like wet clay, my cold, graying hands sigh under their fresh black. We repeat and repeat, and I have almost carved all the immigrant away when Hubble makes a joke about men. Something about how loud they are with their fear. And she laughs her body laugh and shatters the mold of her new mouth into a milky way, and she sings the anthem the way a Yemeni woman ought, in a dancing lilt, in an accent Trudeau would break fast with. Some mornings, this country is a hospitable cot of bones, a stiff frame of dead things suffocated by fluff and smoke and a blanket of ghosts. Some mornings I write a poem and the smoke clears. Some mornings I speak the poem and watch the blanket of ghosts lift from my students' shoulders. Some mornings I remember hip hop and jazz were born out of this dirt too, Turtle Island. I'm a humbled guest of infinite shades of survival. But some mornings I remember a border is a line. Some mornings I remember gender is a border. Some mornings I taste the sweat of sun and dance, and there's no thirsting man or sacrifice or gun, although I've known it all. Some mornings I say truth and reconciliation. And I look up the history of whose spine I have crushed under my boot. And I take a step off and I ask for forgiveness. And I do not celebrate the day my boot made contact. At the very least, I learn my demon's language, investigate its path into my body, and I fill the holes with the yellow laugh of truth. Some mornings I'm so at home in my own body, I do not need a nation. Some mornings my body is a nation. Some mornings I do not have an opinion on race or war or power because I have seen my people jump off cliffs and land feet first. Some mornings Canada is my people. And some mornings Canada demands I prove it. Some mornings I meditate and breathe and honor the complexities of it all. And I float back to center. My alhamdulillah, a kiss to the sky with open palms. Some mornings, this country is my open palms. A black and brown and queer offering of love to a new day, always to a new day. Thank you, Vancouver Writers Fest, and all y'all online.
Thank you, Nasra. Wow. I'm just going to take a moment. I'm just going to ask you all to breathe with me for one moment because we were just gifted so much. I am in awe of each and every one of you. I'm so grateful for you, for all of the work that you do. I'm grateful to all of the teachers out there who have brought all of these students to witness you and to be a part of this energy. It's a beautiful moment to share. And I was thinking as you were all performing, 2020 has taken so much from all of us. But I feel confident in saying that I am grateful that it has gifted us this moment. And that is a rock I'm going to stand on continuously. It has gifted us this moment. And to all of you out there watching, if there are these moments where you get bogged down by it, remember that it has gifted us this moment. So I'm grateful for that. And with that, I'm going to invite all of our incredible artists to come back to the stage. I think we're going to see some questions start to appear, and I'm going to share them with our wonderful artists so that we can get a little bit of the behind the scenes. What is it to be you in the mix? So Truth and Lishai, if you're able to come back and join us, amazing. Okay, here we go. Here we go. First question. Wonderful. We're all back. Oh, this is a gift. First question. How do you nerve yourself up to share things that are so personal in your poetry? Do you have any advice to young poets? And I'm going to say maybe we can go in the same order that we performed in just to make it a little bit easy. So how do you nerve yourself up to share the things that are so personal in your poetry? And do you have any advice to give out to these young, fine poets?
The nerves are always a good thing. If you can learn to harness and channel those nerves into your performance, I learned something a couple of years ago. I experienced someone being homophobic towards a loved one, and I was so angry. I was so angry that my hands couldn't stop shaking. And my brother looked at me, he says, if your hands are shaking, that means you're doing something right in the world. You're feeling deeply and you're channeling that. And I think that when you get on stage, if your hands are shaking, you just got to channel that into your words, and you got to recognize that your body is naturally responding to the adrenaline, to the thrill of performing and sharing your words. And that's what's so compelling about sharing poetry in this way, that it's a lot of raw emotion. So if you can really harness that, you're situating yourself well to really have people feel deeply, because when we come here so that we can hear each other's stories and feel deeply. So don't try and fight the nerves, just try and harness them.
Oh, I guess for me, when I I don't even know how I do it. Like it feels like it's just something that needs to be said and needs to be done, and you do it. I can't even tell you how I don't know how I do this. It's been years and I don't even know. You'll feel it, all right, and you know that it's something that what you're saying is important, what you're feeling is important, and at some point there is in your head it might make sense that this is something someone needs to hear this, or someone needs to hear this, or you need to hear it out loud, and therefore you just write and maybe share. Start with the writing for yourself first, and then you can decide how to share it after that. But yeah, just sit in it. So, wow, what a big question. I don't know. I'm through.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Truth. It seems that we have misplaced Nasra for a moment, but I trust that they will pop back in. So while we wait, Oh, okay. They're trying to come back to us. So while we wait, maybe I'll toss in an answer as well, which is just that for me, kind of psyching myself up to go on stage, because I often do have a lot of anxiety just in putting myself in front of people, is to kind of create a space that feels sacred in some way, that feels like my ancestors are also in that space. And so my practice going on stage has been to check in with my ancestors and all of the people who have always supported me and been at my back, even if that's just energetically, to take a moment to ground myself in that. I light a candle. I have one here right now. If I need a stone in my hand, I hold that. But whatever it takes to ground me, to allow me to share the truth that is what all of those ancestors wanted for me to begin with. So that's how I sort of calm my nerves. And I see another question here. I'm hoping we'll get Nasra back, but if we don't, I know we're going to get some fun answers. Ah, Nasra's here. Yes. Beautiful. Bless. Okay, that was right on time, Nasra. So can I give you that question that we were just answering, which was, how do you nerve yourself up to share things that are so personal in your poetry? And do you have any advice to the young poets?
Great question. I reading out loud to myself is just to myself. I think that's how I definitely started to get the nerve, was I realized that I wasn't even performing to myself. And so whether it's like in front of the mirror or whether it's just literally reading it out loud, talking to myself, is usually how I'm doing the poems a few times and getting them in the memory of that emotional release that happens when you write and then complete and then just share, speak to yourself. I know that that's why I write, to get it out. And so practicing getting it out with me and me is the beginning for me. And then also like just with my friends, show your friends, show people you really care about, trust first, and practice. There's no wrong way to get up the nerve. And I like to dance. I like to just shake it out, you know, because nerves mean you care.
Yes, the dance moves actually in this whole crew are pretty stellar. It's a good situation. So next question is, how do you choose how to present your poems? That's a great question, especially because we saw some different modalities here today, and music and different kinds of lyricism with the voice, and yeah, so that's an interesting question. How do you choose the way that you're going to offer each poem up?
I have a lot to say about this, but I'm going to try and keep it short and brief. A lot of us came up through the slam scene, and it was like an entry point for us into sharing poetry, but there's so many ways by which you can share your stories. And I really strongly encourage folks to do as much experimenting as possible. It wasn't until I had my kiddo that I sort of broke from spoken word and started dabbling in other forms of storytelling, like writing essays, like writing creative nonfiction. I think that every time you try and tell a story in a different way, you're opening yourself up to an expansiveness that you didn't even know existed. So try music, try theater, try all the things until you land on something that feels like it's authentically you. And a word of warning is, don't watch too many slam videos on YouTube, because you'll start to get this cadence and rhythm that is very difficult to unlearn. So don't do that. That's it.
For me, I feel like I'm just going to end up mirroring a little bit of what Lishai brought to the table. The poem tells you how it needs to be shared. That's the way I find, like when Nasra, when they were talking about, like, just reading it over and over, like, honesty makes the best poetry. So if you really check in with yourself, that cadence is going to come. So if you're really feeling confused or vulnerable or sad or like the varying emotions that a human can possibly experience, and you really listen to that, and you try to not listen to all the slam poetry videos, and then that voice will start to come up. And so we'll be like, you know what, I kind of feel like singing a little bit here. I mean, I know Nasra, like I can't sing like that, you know what I mean? But you know, sometimes my poem calls for me to do that, and I'm gonna do it, because that's just that's what this poem honestly sounds like to me in my body. So I would just say, just really listen to yourself, and it will reveal, like the voice of the poem will reveal itself.
Yeah, what they said, y'all did that.
Yeah, I agree. That was that was a wrap. So we're gonna go to just like 2 more questions before we wrap up. And I just wanted to let any teachers or students out there know that this will likely be presented on YouTube, and you'll have the private link to it. So if you need to dip out right now, that's okay. You can come back and watch the rest of it a little bit later. Our next question is, our second last question is, what age did you start really writing poetry? Give us the tea.
I was young. I was young as hell. Yeah. But when I started performing, that was after moving to Canada and discovering something called spoken word, discovering the slam scene. That's when I first started performing, and that was a whole different ball game. But yeah, I was like big into dinosaurs when I was a kid, so all of my poems were about dinosaurs. It's good to start reading from a young age, and then, you know, from reading, see where it takes you.
I would vote that you publish the book of dinosaur poems.
Hey man,
Truth to you.
Any publishers out there who want to hear about dinosaurs, get in touch.
I started I'm writing before I can remember. I don't remember there being a time where I wasn't, you know, at least scribbling, or I also did express myself through visual arts at that time as well. So like there wasn't a time where I wasn't being artistic in a way that that meant. And then like when I found hip hop, when I got into that, when I like started to be able to listen to it and like see the community that was building, then I started like writing, and then I just remember, you know, just being in those ciphers and growing from there. And then I went to a whole new school. Didn't know anybody, and I found a way to kind of get into the community of artists there. So writing poetry, ghostwriting, like lyrics, doing all that kind of stuff. And then I found like open mics and slam, and then I just kind of found these amazing people. So the one thing that always got me about when I was writing like hip hop and rap lyrics was that I always felt like this is really, really dope. This is so cool. But I want to say this, but I can't fit it in. I couldn't navigate how to fit it into the like, you know, the beats. And I didn't want to rhyme all the time or in the most obvious ways. So when I heard spoken word for the first time, then that just total game changer for me. No turning back. So you know what? How old are you? That's when I started. Like you start now. That's even if it is, that's your story to follow through on.
I love this, and I love the being able to trace that lineage of your writing, Truthy, and know that hip hop was the seed of it. I was just listening to you earlier, and like, I don't know if all of you out there even caught half of the things that Truth was saying, because it's so much. It's so much. Like, I was a minor. What? Okay, the pieces about the music, and I was a minor. I was a. I'm sorry. I had to take a moment over here. So thank you for that, Truth. And Nasra, tell us about you. When did you start this?
Oh, I love this. I love this so much. It was. I feel like so. I feel like I remember journaling earlier than anything. my mom would get tired of me talking all the time. And so she diverted my energy. She said, write it. Hey, just go, please. Put it down. Put it down. Tell your book, please. Your book wants to know. And I'm like, oh, you're right. My book does want to know. And just like go in that. And it was definitely moments when I just would feel overwhelmed. So it'd be like sensory overload. I also have ADHD. So when I remember when I couldn't get the stuff out by moving or running around or playing, like writing was another way to just get some composure. But I didn't. I remember the first time I was like, I think I'm a poet, y'all, is in grade 7. And in grade 7, I wrote this poem about capitalism. It was about money. And it was called Unknown Dictator. And it was deep. It was deep. And I only know this because I revisited it a couple of years ago. And I was like, that I was encouraged by my teacher to submit it in a thing. I got to be in this little anthology for young people. And I was like, I think I can do this. But I didn't start performing until 2014 when I found the YouTube poetries. And I saw Black people crying and screaming and rapping and being honest on stage. And I was like, I have to do that. And so I looked up an open mic in my city, and it's history from there. But
Yes. And we're so glad that you found it and that you get to bless all these stages and bless us with your presence. This is beautiful. Okay, we have one last question, and it kind of dovetails with the last question, which was, so this question is, what sparked your interest and your passion for writing? And we kind of touched on that. So I'm gonna flip it a little bit and say, what keeps you inspired? What keeps you inspired through all of this? Oh, and also I meant to say to Nasra, I know that you published that piece when you were a young one, but I'm wondering if maybe a second edition could come out. I'm saying, put it with the dinosaur poems. Collaboration. Amazing. Okay, what keeps you inspired, especially with all this that's going on? This is our last question. Hit us with the knowledge.
Does someone want to jump in before me? I think I need a moment to just think about this.
I think I can go. Black women rappers. That is Black women in hip hop right now, and Black women in R&B. Queer artists making music is really, really holding every part of me down. Because I'm like, the lyricism, the stories that are coming out, the content that people are needing to talk about, the dance music, the booty shaking music, the potency of Black artists right now it's just like nothing else. And I don't think I would have been able to move through quarantine without it. And it makes me very excited to know all the possibilities of where I can take my art based on all the possibilities of the different kind of artists that are making space for themselves right now. But music is really helping.
Yes, beautiful. Truth, do you have any words on that?
Y'all is coming with the blows here. For me, I'll be honest. I've been like, since quarantine, since COVID has hit and has kind of kept us away. Like, I love the energy that I get from an audience, and I think I didn't realize how much until I had been separated from that. And I've been struggling with like staying creative in this time, and that's okay. I'm coming to be like, that's okay. But what I did do was I really started to dig. I'm like, nope, this can't be it. There must be more. And I dug even deeper. So I started getting back to art that made me inspired me from the beginning. So earlier I had mentioned that I had done some visual art and stuff like that. So I had been drawing since I was a kid, and I've really gotten back into like drawing, and now I'm drawing like faces. I'm portraits, I'm looking at people, I'm seeing their stories, and like those are bringing up the stories inside of me, and so seeing and connecting to people and faces that I'm missing. So that has literally, it's okay to have to, like, if you're a writer and if you have to step back a little, but don't step back from your art, just step back from maybe that particular practice and really look into yourself, and you'll find that something, there's like a pull cord, something that's going to get you jump, or like a cable that's going to jumpstart you in there. So I'm ready to like write our next chapter here and move forward. But I struggled there for a second, and I'm thankful that I had, a different outlet to kind of connect to help that.
True. Thank you for that. Especially that piece around sort of like the, I don't know, it feels like elasticity of artistry, like to move and bend and kind of lean into what we're being called to in the moment. I think we need that. We need to use all of our resources in this moment, to bring forward these messages and to nourish and comfort ourselves as well, and to activate this whole planet. So thank you for all of that beautiful answer, Truth. And I wanted to also add that Truth blessed me with a drawing of my face, which I'm going to share on the interwebs after this event and tag Vancouver Writers Fest, so y'all can take a gander at this beautiful artist's work. Okay, and Lishai, do you have a final answer for us?
Yeah, I think, initially hearing poetry of others is definitely, compels me to write. But, for many years, I worked in City Hall and I was on the streets protesting a lot. And, for many years, I felt kind of like doing political work or even grassroots work was important, but I felt discouraged by the power distribution in society. And I started feeling like I was lacking power in a concrete way. And this led to sort of a critical crisis for me when I was like, okay, I have no power. What am I doing here? And then, always coming back to stories, because stories are so much more than just you and me sitting here talking. It's bearing witness to each other's lives, but it's also an act of political rebellion. And so for me, stories are political, they're sacred, and they're important. So that's what I think keeps me writing. And on a more personal note, having Casper, having my son, motherhood takes up so much space energetically and in my heart. And I need writing to ground myself in some sort of practice that is just for me. So much of what I write, never leaves the computer and no one ever sees it, but it's for me so I can feel grounded and whole.
Yes. Whew. Thank you for all of those answers. And I'm going to toss in mine to sort of seal the whole deal. What keeps me inspired and keeps me motivated and keeps me moving. Lishai Peel, Truth is ellipsis, Nasra Adam. I have been lucky to surround myself with incredible humans, and they are the fire in my belly and sometimes the wind in my lungs. So I'm very grateful for each of you. Grateful to the Vancouver Writers Fest for letting us be together. I'm hugging you right now. And blessings to all of you out there. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to all the teachers for bringing your youth to this wonderful event. And I hope you will check out more of the Writers Fest. I hope you will keep writing. Yeah, we look forward to seeing you up on this stage very soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.